All right, there's another chance of rain next week, and of course we had that downpour last weekend. Meteorologist Blake Matthews has more on all of this. Hey, Blake.
The U.S. Drought Monitor was updated Thursday morning, and our area made a remarkable recovery in the ongoing drought conditions observed over the last several months, given the copious amounts of rain that fell just last week. The result? All of the moderate and severe drought has been wiped out across southeast Texas. So what is the Drought Monitor? Who draws those maps, and how do they determine how dry things are anyway? Well, the Drought Monitor is a map drawn up by different agencies showing which areas are abnormally dry or in moderate, severe, extreme, or exceptional drought. Which agencies, you may ask? Well, that would be the National Drought Mitigation Center at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, NOAA, and the Department of Agriculture. So how do they determine exactly which areas are in drought conditions and how bad that drought is? All the agencies listed combine forces to review flow rates of rivers and streams, satellite-based assessments of how healthy that vegetation is, soil moisture, and the amount of surface water and/or snowpack, the latter being especially important in the western United States. All of those factors are studied and then given a designation as to how dry a particular area is. Standing for Houston, I'm meteorologist Blake Matthews.